This drama begins when our cute heroine Sang-jae is moving toward the car and she is attracted by a fox toy. Just then our hero Doon Jae-soo transfers her attention toward her by calling her a thief. Watching him, she is hypnotized and jumps into the past. Here, in the 8th standard, Sang-jae is scolded by the teacher for not paying attention to the lecture. She is asked to bring her parents when she is not listening to him and constantly making the same mistake. Hearing this, she is scared and decides to take her brother to meet with her teacher. Ignoring her friend's plans to hang out, she texts her brother Sang-yeon, whom she calls silly dog, and asks him to return. Sang-yeon refuses to return, and she is pissed off and considers the stray dog her brother. After that, she gets inside her home, where her mother updates her about the arrival of her brother. She takes a fruit bowl for her brother, but she is stunned watching a handsome guy in her brother's room. Sang-jae assumes that her brother has done plastic surgery. This comment creates a smile on Jae-soo's face. Sang-yeon appears from behind, and she emerges from the shock. Without wasting a minute, Sang-jae asks her brother for a favor. Before he can help her, Jae-soo explodes the bomb by applying plastic surgery's comment on him. This makes him furious, and he denies helping her. Consequently, Sang-jae starts weeping as if Sang-yeon has beaten her a lot, and he is reprimanded by her mother for scolding his little sister. When her mother takes Sang-yeon out of the room, she gets stable and wipes the tears off with a tissue. Now, her mind is working like a genius, and she has decided to take help from Jae-soo. She explains everything and asks him to come to her school by pretending to be her brother. Firstly, he refuses to do so because he should ask this favor from her brother, but she knows after this drama that her brother will not help him. Also, Jae-soo has decided to move on and give a clue to this little girl that they will meet again. On the contrary, she is unsure if he will come or not. After some years, Sang-jae has grown up and become more beautiful. She gets prepared and doesn't pay attention to her brother, who has arrived after a long time. He shares that he will move from here with his roommates. Listening to this, Sang-jae's senses have activated, and she wants to help her brother move somewhere. Sang-yeon is not ready to take her help, but his parents force him. According to the plan, Sang-jae reaches his brother's place after school. He pretends to be busy with the shifting and tells her about the room and block number. She looks at her dad's car and starts playing with the fox toy. At the same time, Jae-soo calls her a thief and she is stunned by his elegance. He has recognized her and calls her kiddo, but she reminds him that she has grown up. Realizing her statement, she takes her to the room where her brother plays a game. She is filled with wrath while watching her brother playing a game, but he calms her down by handing her chocolate, and Sang-yeon's friends warmly welcome her. Soon, Jae-soo reveals that he is heading toward his part-time job and doesn't forget to give a fox toy to his kiddo. She gets upset when he has gone, so she packs her bag by putting a fox toy in his bag, and intentionally leaves her book there. When Jae-soo returns, Sang-yeon updates him. Sang-jae mistakenly has taken something that belonged to him, so he calls her sister and hands over the phone to him. Sang-jae discloses she has left her book at his table and demands he bring it to her. Opposite to her plan, Jae-soo thought of giving this book to her brother, but she pretends she has homework to do, so it's compulsory. Realizing its importance, he gave it to her at the bus station early so she could complete her homework. Hearing this, her heart bounces with happiness, and she sets many alarms on her phone. In the morning, many alarm rings, and luckily, she has woken up at the right time. At that exact time, she is waiting for him at the bus station. Also, she can recall the moments she is waiting for him in the class, but he hasn't arrived, and she is depressed. Out of the blue, she falls and looks at Jae-soo, who has arrived to help her. Her class is over, and she takes him to her teacher. Sang-jae calls him at the bus station and inquires whether he is coming. She is in a bad mood, but before she can scold him, he touches the milk bottle with her rosy cheeks. He has reached before the time, but he has gone to bring milk for her. She turns her attention toward homework and takes her to the shop where she can do her homework peacefully. Again, she thinks about her past when Jae-soo is pretending to be her brother in front of the teacher. Her teacher has no objection to her, except she is not paying attention to his lecture. Sang-jae's records are on top, but he is against her attitude. Hearing this, he scolds her as his big brother and asks her to apologize. But Sang-jae prefers to say goodbye instead of an apology. Jae-soo compels her to ask forgiveness, and she has no choice except to obey him. At the shop, Jae-soo moves to bring breakfast for him and asks her to concentrate on her work. Also, he brings a cake for her to enjoy after her homework. During the homework, she knows Jae-soo belongs to Ye. After the homework, he hasn't forgotten to drop her off at her school. Here, he puts a page into her bag and informs her he has read the essay that she is writing. Sang-jae has written Stray Dog only for enjoyment, but she hasn't thought he would read it. In the essay, she mentions her brother, a dog whose face resembles Jiaxu. While reading this, a cute smile appears on the face of Jiaxu, and he has composed another essay for her. Taking out the latter, she is about to read when her friend, Jen-ru, arrives and considers it love later, but she hides it and tells her it's her homework. Before she snatches the page, Fu Zhengqiu has started dancing in front of her with his friends. In reality, he likes her and tries his best to impress her, but she ignores him and moves from there. When Sang Jai gets back to her home then, she thinks of keeping the milk bottle in the fridge, but she doesn't. So, she puts the bottle in her room, and her mother arrives and notices it. She is surprised to see it because Sang Jai has a milk allergy. She clears her mother's doubt that she will not drink it, and her mother reveals they are going to relatives. So, they are calling her brother to accompany her. She doesn't want to stay with the silly dog but has no option. When his brother arrived, she hid beside the table and didn't bother to respond to his call. Before they start fighting, Sang Yan gets a call from his roommate and plans to have lunch together. Sang Jai also wants to go, and by threatening him, she is going with him after getting refreshed. Later she is in the car in a sad mood because Sang Yan's friend is not Jiazu. But soon, she cheered up because Sang Yan had picked Jiazu, who welcomed her, and he pulls her leg so that she has fallen for him. Reaching the restaurant, Sang Jai begs her brother not to leave her alone. He has asked her to stay with his friends without understanding her sister's situation. Meanwhile, he has gone to park the car. She is not feeling well, and Jiaxu has judged something odd. Notice pain on her face, he inquires, but she only wants to use the restroom. Jiazu also wants to accompany her, but she refuses. Soon, Jiazu notices a blot on her skirt and understands everything. He is with her and asks her to stay in the washroom until he returns. Reaching the washroom, she notices the blot and is about to die of shame. On the other hand, Jiaxu informs her brother about the situation and calls him at the store. Scarcely, they purchase private things and a skirt for her because the previous skirt has been ruined. They have handed these things over to a girl who has given them to Sang Jai. In the washroom, she thinks how she will face him and starts weeping. After freshening up, she hesitantly emerges from the washroom and looks at her brother, who is waiting outside. She is relaxed, and her brother drags him to the restaurant where they order a meal. She orders meat with noodles knowing she is allergic to it, but she considers it nothing because meat quantity is trivial. When the order arrives, Jiaxu takes out the meat pieces from her plate and asks her to enjoy lunch. He inspires her by seeing how caring he is. After lunch, she thinks that Jiazu intentionally doesn't appear in front of her, because he wants to save her from embarrassment. Her brother again moves to bring the car and asks her to sit with his friends. Here, Sang Yan's friend hands over a coin to her through which she can win the teddy by plucking him out. She tries again and again, but she fails every time. Also, Jiazu notices her interest in a cute white teddy, so he takes out this teddy for her. An enchanting smile appears on her face. In a flash, Jiaxu saved her by becoming her big brother, but he has decided to take her class. So, she gives him candy and tries to escape from there. Jiazu walks to her home and promises not to repeat this mistake and concentrate on her studies. She has also understood and made a pinky promise to him. While reaching the home, she asks him goodbye and moves forward. She doesn't get inside until he vanishes from her sight. Aside from this, Jen has dragged her to a restaurant where Zheng Chu has thrown his birthday party, but she hasn't bought a gift for him and is not in the mood to go there. Jen-ru is not ready to listen her and takes her to the restaurant where Jiazu works. Now, Sang Jai is pleased to arrive here and greets him. After deciding on the order, she moves to him and is about to pay him, but he has refused to take payment from her and asks her to enjoy it as a treat. She refuses, but he is persistent. Enjoying the desert, Jiaxu's boss arrives and talks about his salary. Sang Jai has become worried about him and thinks he has a shortage of money. At the same time, Fu Zhengqiu arrived to take them to his birthday party. She wants to finish her dessert, but Fu Zhengqiu takes her with him because there are many things to eat. Again she returns and asks him to take the money because she believes he has a shortage of money. But he consoles her that he will not become a beggar by treating her to dessert. Listening to this, she ran and left the money on the table. Wiping out the table, he also notices this amount and smiles at her caring nature. They celebrate the birthday party, and Fu Zhengqiu looks at the Sang Jai with love. At last, he is about to announce his feelings for her when she prefers to move from here. Fu Zhengqiu also follows her and shares her feelings, but she is not ready to listen. Out of love, he has started weeping because he has studied hard to study at her school, and she is ignoring his feelings. Sang Jai explains that it's not their age to think about this. They should concentrate on their studies, but he is not ready to listen. At the same time, Jiazu arrives, and Fu Zhengqiu prefers to run because he considers him Sang Jai's brother. Jiazu, who's eavesdropping, tries to make her understand that she should stay away from the relationship. Also, Sang Jai clears his doubts by saying she has no interest in him and no plan to date anyone. Jiaxu trusts her because he has already listened to her reply. Also, Jiaxu returns her money by saying he can afford a desert for her and she should not be worried about him. In reality, he is happy because someone in the world cares for him. After some time, he says goodbye to her because he needs to take care of the restaurant. In the class, Sang Jai tries to talk with Zhenru, but she continuously ignores her, and she is talking with another girl. Watching her best friend's attitude, she has become depressed. On the other hand, the teacher writes Sang Jai's name in the jumping. She doesn't want to participate in sports, so she makes an excuse for a bad knee. But her teacher doesn't listen to her and has mentioned her name. On sports day, the race started and Fu Zhangchu won, and the jumping competition is about to begin, and Sang Jai is also participating. Sang Yan and Jiazu mention the names of the participants. Watching her at the participants, Sang Yan makes fun of her and says she is not eligible for this competition, but she made him see her name on the list and was ready for this test. However, Sang Yan has already clicked her pictures when she is not in the mood, so he mentions Jiaxu, her brother, instead of him. The competition starts when her name is called. She is scared but mustered up her courage. She ran to jump but could not do this, that's why back up. Again tried to jump but couldn't cross the stick through the jump. She has gotten another chance, in which she tries her best to jump. Contrary to her expectations, she fell to the ground and got injured. Her brother and Jiaxu panicked. Sang Yan takes her on his back, but he cannot carry her. Thus, Jiaxu carries her on his back and takes her to the bench. Here he sprays on her wounds, and she is pleased because he is nice to her. And he is complaining about her brother, who is not concerned about her. Jiaxu explains her brother loves her, so she shouldn't think like this. At the same time, Sang Yan arrived by bringing the water bottle, and he is carrying her sister to the hospital because he thinks she has gotten a sprain. On the other hand, another girl has been injured, and Jiaxu moves to her. She has realized he is kind to everyone. Like this video and let me know in the comments if you want part 2.